Joseph knows that his brothers are not good men. If you've been here following the story, you know Joseph's brothers are not good men. What do we know about them? Well, they lied to the Shechemites and then massacred all the men in the town and then took the women and children and all of their stuff. I mean, that's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Judah married a Canaanite woman and slept with his daughter-in-law on accident, thinking she was a prostitute, and got her pregnant. That's brutal as well. Reuben, the oldest son, slept with his stepmom because he wanted to replace his dad Jacob in leading the family. And together they sold Joseph into slavery for 20 pieces of silver and then lied to their dad about his death. These are bad men. These are really bad men. And he wants to have a relationship with them. He wants to be reconciled, but he knows that there are many steps on the path of reconciliation. See, Joseph understood forgiveness. This is important that we understand that Joseph understood forgiveness, because as we work through the story, some people will say, well, isn't Joseph being kind of mean to these guys? Isn't he being vindictive? No. Joseph understood forgiveness. And forgiveness is not a feeling. It's not a feeling. Many people are waiting for the feeling of forgiveness to come before they forgive. But forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a deliberate decision. It's a choice that you make. And often if you've been deeply hurt, wounded, forgiveness is a decision that you have to make over and over and over and over again. You just have to keep forgiving. Well, I already forgave him. Well, why do I have these feelings? Well, you have to forgive him, and you have to forgive him, and you have to forgive him, and you have to keep forgiving them in your heart. It's a deliberate act of the will. And forgiveness only requires one person. So you can forgive someone who's hurt you, even if they never change. You can forgive them. You can forgive someone who never apologizes to you. You can forgive someone who's still dangerous to you. You can forgive someone that you do not like. And when you forgive, you're not saying that what someone did to you is okay. That's one of the main reasons people are bitter. They hold on to bitterness because they say to themselves, if I forgive the person, it's like I'm saying what they did is okay. It's like, no, that's not what's happening in forgiveness. That's not what's happening. You're not saying that what the person did to you is okay. Instead, what you are saying in forgiveness is that I'm not going to seek revenge. I'm not going to seek payback. I'm not going to be bitter towards you. Instead, I'm going to extend mercy. See, bitterness anchors your life in the past. When you're around bitter people and you get to know them and they start talking, they always go back to their past hurts. Remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? They just go back to past hurts, and it anchors your life in the past. Certainly, we should learn from the past, but God doesn't want us to be bitter. And forgiveness is all about freedom. You know, people who are bitter are carrying a heavy weight. And the longer you carry that weight, at first it's maybe not that big of a deal, but the longer you carry that weight, the more it destroys your life. The heavier and heavier and heavier it gets. See, forgiveness is about putting down that weight. It's about not carrying it anymore. Forgiveness is about moving forward. It's about releasing the debt. Forgiveness is about trusting God, saying, God, you are the judge of the earth, and you will do what is right. I don't even know what is right in this situation, but you will do what is right. And we have good reasons to believe that Joseph forgave his brothers long before he saw them in Genesis 42. Joseph was a man filled with God's Holy Spirit. Joseph was walking with God. He persevered under trials. We ought not think of Joseph in the dungeon as a bitter man. He wasn't a bitter man. He had learned how to forgive his brothers. Now, Joseph also understood that forgiveness is not reconciliation. If you can have these two categories in your soul, I think it will help you to love people better. That forgiveness and reconciliation, they're two different categories. Joseph knows that forgiveness would not automatically fix the relationship. Just by forgiving them, he could have said, it's me, I forgive you. Joseph knows that wouldn't necessarily heal the wound. It wouldn't fix the relationship. Why not? Well, when I was younger, I played a lot of baseball. I played my entire life growing up, and when I was 17 years old, I had the opportunity to commit to playing baseball at the University of Texas, which is my dream school, big-time Division I baseball, so I was thrilled to commit to Texas. The only problem is that Texas didn't commit to me playing at Texas. That's the problem. In fact, they didn't know I was alive. Just like every other Division I school, they didn't know that I was alive. And so my commitment alone didn't make my relationship with Texas a reality. It didn't work that way. It didn't make my relationship with Texas a reality because relationships, meaningful relationships, require two willing parties. And when the relationship is broken, it's fractured. Joseph and his brothers, that relationship fractured. When a relationship is fractured, reconciliation, coming back together, it requires two committed parties, two willing parties. And Joseph wanted more than forgiveness. He wanted to be reconciled. Reconciliation is not always possible for a variety of reasons, but Joseph is going to go for it. He's the offended party, and he's going to go for it. He wants to be reconciled. And see, reconciliation, it requires that the sin be dealt with if the relationship and the trust is going to be restored. Joseph knows that his brothers must deal with what they had done to him, not for Joseph's sake. I don't think Joseph is thinking about himself in this situation saying, you need to deal with what you did to me, brothers, so I feel better. I think by the grace of God, Joseph had healed. He was hurt, but he had healed. Joseph, remember, he's a type of Christ in the story where we have sinned against the Lord Jesus Christ, and it's Christ who comes after us, who seeks reconciliation with us, the one who sinned against him. And he does it that we might be healed. And so Joseph is going to move towards his brothers that they might be healed. When you sin against someone, you not only hurt them, you hurt yourself. It's a double-sided sword. You cut someone with one side, you cut yourself in the process. You wound someone else, you wound yourself. And Joseph knows that his brothers have been living a lie for 20 years. They've been in hiding for 20 years. As I was studying this week, I wrote out the question, I wonder how many times these 10 brothers had told the same lie together about what happened to their brother. How many times do you think these 10 brothers told the same lie about Joseph over 20 years? What happened to Joseph? See, they all had to hang together. They all had to tell the same story, because if one of them cracked, then it was over. So for 20 years, they had been carrying this lie. And it's not a lie about stealing a pack of gum from the grocery store. It's a lie about betraying their brother, selling him as a slave, and then lying to their dad about his death. I mean, it's a brutal lie. And for 20 years, they had been carrying this burden. I'm sure that these brothers were eager to bury that sin deep in the darkness of their heart. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want any memory of it. In Genesis chapter 37, it says that the brothers, these 10 brothers, sold Joseph as a slave to Egypt. They knew that the slave traders were going to Egypt. They knew that. Now, in the story, the first time that the word Egypt is used after Joseph's brothers sold him as a slave to Egypt is in Genesis chapter 42, verse 1. When Joseph learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you keep looking at each other?" Now, at first glance, it looks like these brothers are just irresponsible. We don't care about the famine. Who cares? Whatever. None of us want to go because we want to sit here. They look irresponsible. That might be what's going on. What is far more likely is that this is the first time in the story, at least, the word Egypt has come up. And they look at each other. Egypt? Jacob walks in and says, why are you guys looking at each other? See, Egypt is the symbol of death. It's the symbol of slavery. And it holds the memory of what these 10 men did to their brother. I have a friend who committed a really horrible sin. Horrible sin. And he told me that every time he drives by the exit of the town where he committed the sin, memories of what he did flood his mind. Every time he sees the word, the name of that town. It's like his mind is bombarded with what he did. And I think that's the way the word Egypt is in the minds of Joseph's brothers. Egypt? We don't want to go to Egypt. We don't want to go down there. But see, God, in his grace, is going to lead these sons into a type of death. They actually do need to die. There's a part of these men that needs to die. And so God, by his grace, through his providence, he's going to lead these men into Egypt. And he's going to bring them to a place where all of their guilt and all of their shame can be exposed. They stay in the land of Canaan. They will take that lie to their grave. And they will be corrupted by it and hurt by it and sick by it until the day they die. And God says, I love you too much, men. You're going to go to Egypt. You're going to be exposed. And God is going to use Joseph like a mirror to help them see the reality of their sinfulness. Not just so they feel bad. God is not just after making these men feel bad. He wants to forgive them and heal them and reconcile them back together. And Joseph knows transformation will not happen until their sin is exposed and dealt with.